It was from an old friend, who he had taken out 2 nights ago, who had now left London. She wrote to say how much she had enjoyed seeing him again, and thanked him for a most entertaining evening. "You must come and stay with us as soon as you can spare the time," she wrote. "Arthur is longing to see your new horses, and I think you will be quite nervous of 2 he has bought recently." She ended with some complimentary words about his appearance, and several words of love, which he knew were true. He was very fond of her, and if she had not been married when they first met, he often thought that he might well have asked her to marry him. But she was very happy with her husband, and now had 3 charming children, and the Duke was a godfather to the youngest. He then put the letter on one side and opened the next one. For a moment he could not guess who it was from, although the handwriting was somewhat familiar. Then, when he opened it, he realized that it was from his cousin, Lady Weston, who he saw as little as possible. The reason for this was because she was the biggest gossip in his family. They all knew that if they ever told her anything, however secret it may be, it was repeated over and over again to all the rest of their relations and to her friends. The Duke wondered why she was writing to him, and he was certain that it would not be anything he wanted to hear. At the same time, it would be a mistake to quarrel with her, simply because everyone in the family would be aware of it immediately. He then gave a sigh as he took the letter out of the envelope and commenced reading it. He was quite certain that he would be told the latest scandal about one of his relations, or else be reprimanded as she invariably did, because he had ignored someone who had once been friends of his father or his mother, who had come to London without, as had often happened, being entertained by him. As if to fortify himself, he drank a sip of his tea. Then he was aware that it was not 1 letter he had taken from the envelope, but 2. Without being curious as to why it was there, he started to read the letter from Muriel, which began, "Dearest Ivan, my daughter Charlotte has received the enclosed letter this morning from her friend Penelope Denton. They were at school together, and have been great friends ever since. In fact, Penelope has often stayed here with us, although I never liked her. Nor did I think that she was a particularly good person for Charlotte to have as a friend. However, they have been good friends ever since, and Charlotte often goes to stay with her for some festivity or another. I am, however, shocked at the letter she received this morning, and I think you should read it. I am enclosing it for you to do so. With fondest love, your affectionate cousin, Muriel." The Duke was frowning when he finished reading his cousin's letter. Then he opened the letter tucked inside hers. He realized that it was from someone he had been spending a great deal of time with, who he had found exciting and amusing, as well as being one of the most feted and admired social beauties in the whole of London. He frowned again as he read, "Dearest Charlotte, I have won. I have won. You will hardly believe it, but I told you I would do so. The evasive Duke is on the verge of asking me to marry him, and of course I will fall into his arms and say, yes, yes, yes. You therefore owe me £5, as I told you I would marry a duke, and you told me that it was just impossible to capture one. But I have done it, despite all the difficulties which we all know has made him elude so many traps, and then manage to remain single and his own master, despite the allurement that has always surrounded him. It is now only a question of time until he will say the words I want to hear, and then I will march up the aisle triumphant as soon as possible, just in case he changes his mind at the last moment. It is now up to you, my dear, to capture at the very least a marquis or an earl. But in any case, you still owe me £5, and I also expect a magnificent wedding present from you. You were always positive that I would never land a duke, as I intended to do, but I have done it, and I can assure you